We're giving it the old college effort. And okay. Okay, so I have my little screen on the right. I'm not sure if anyone is going to tune in. Let me just check to see if we went live on what do you call it? I see what you were asking me about having screens. Let me go to my channel, see if I'm live. Oh, it doesn't show anything. That's not good.
Are you using the web browser or using the app?
I'm using the app.
Is it like a black screen?
No, it's I have the audio in the middle, scenes on the left. That's blank. The preview is on the right. There's an end stream button, so we're apparently live, but I don't know where we're live. Oh, we are live. Yeah, here it is. One is watching. Oh my god. And it's Graphic God. Hey Jay, we're doing a test. We are live. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. Yeah, it says you are live. Boom. Yes. I want to thank everybody that's going to stop by. Skull Stomper just jumped in. Big Cloud Gaming, what's up, dude? Michael Cicello, I think it is. What's up, dude? Listen, this is an unprecedented stream. Obviously, you see me go talk about J Dubs, the Graphic God online. He helped me learn, or start to learn OBS, because obviously Google Hangouts. But of course, I'm not here alone. Clowns, say hello to the actually 13 people watching. Holy shit, that's great. This is a test. We're not going to talk about some games. It's not going to be a long stream, but we wanted to make sure that everything is running. Clowns, how you been, dude?
I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. You obviously are going to be my co-host this Wednesday on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I do have some interesting news I kind of want to share with the people that are here. Hey, Lethal Popper here. Welcome, dude. Star Hunter 29. What's going on, my brother? Gary Oak, thanks so much. Rick Dennis, thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate helping us test this because obviously, this is very new to me. I'm not a technical dude. Like I said, if you know about my channel, I jumped into this kind of like with, heels to the wind. Thanks again to the absolute ridiculous kindness and knowledge of the Graphic God. He kind of helped me. And of course, Clowns as well has been helping me get a little bit more confident with it. He's been showing me the tricks of the trade. So it's been a ride. I didn't think I was going to be able to pull this off, but thankfully we're doing a stream and it works. So that is pretty freaking cool. So Clowns, listen, let's talk about gaming for a second. What have you been playing?
I've had this really bad urge to go back to Assassin's Creed lately.
So good, man.
I went back to Rogue, and I haven't played Rogue for that long of a time before. Like, every time I played it, I kept shutting it off because I didn't like a lot of the boat stuff. But once I got into Rogue, I could not stop playing. And then I did Black Flag right after that, and I'm on a roll right now.
Have you got a chance to play Origins or Odyssey? That's my question.
I love Odyssey. Origins, I didn't like when it first came out, but I'm going to go back and give that another chance too.
Yeah, I have to say that for me personally, I think you guys have heard me talk about this before. I'm a huge Ubisoft fan. Back in the days, obviously I've been gaming a very long time. In the NES, Super NES, even like in the N64 and GameCube days, Capcom was my favorite company for Resident Evil, but they also had so many amazing franchises and IPs. Of course, you had Onimusha, you had Dino Crisis, you had Strider, Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts. I mean, the list just goes on and how many amazing. So that was always my favorite company. And then this generation happens, and my goodness, man, Ubisoft just continues to impress with their titles. And obviously, when you talk about some of the games you mentioned, the earlier Assassin's Creed, there was a bit of I guess repetitiveness with some of the titles that when it became a yearly franchise, they were putting a lot of pressure on the few development houses that were working on it, and it showed. And obviously, Black Flag was amazing. The one after it, I believe it was, what was the after one that was terrible? The one in France.
Unity. I think
Yes,
it's called?
Unity. It was Broken Mess. Obviously, remember you've seen all the pictures with the ugly faces and everything. So it wasn't good. Hey, gotta say hello to Jeepers Creeper. What's going on, dude? Thanaros in there. Thank you so much. Gary Oak. What's going on, dude? I like to say hello to everyone. Dirtyfoot77. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys helping us test this. This is obviously, like I said, new to me, so I'm glad that it is working, and I didn't doubt it. J-Dubs is the man, and he knows his stuff, and so it's great that it's working. If you see the screen, there's nothing going on. It's very, very simple. It's just the logos. I'm gonna start playing with it to see if I get some animated stuff in there. If you've like I said, if you've watched the Saltiest podcast, which obviously Salty, who's a very, very good friend of mine, he has a lot of stuff. He's got Pikachu on there. He's got Ryu throwing the fireball. He has he does all these gifts and stuff. I'm not at that level. I will get there eventually, folks. But for right now, we're just gonna keep it simple. But yeah, Clowns, is there anything else that you've been playing?
And then I've been going back and forth to some Battlefield 5 with Assassin, so I've been playing that here and there. And, I gotta say this about Battlefield 5. As much fun as it is, sometimes it can be a broken mess.
Is it still broken?
Oh, it's the fact that when people play Rush in Battlefield 5, they don't understand how to play the objective. They just want to sit back and get kills instead of, rushing for the bombs. So, in that sense, it is broken.
Oh, that's a shame. You know what? I've heard a lot of good things, but I also hear some people that are diehard fans of it that are disappointed, and it makes me wonder what direction they're going to go with Battlefield next. I personally would love a Bad Company 3. I know that you've enjoyed the Bad Company 1 and 2. I mean, they had a tremendous an amazing single-player aspect to it because it told the story of that company of dudes, and they were hilarious. This is where most people thought that Battlefield 5 was going to be the third installment, and it turned out to be Battlefield 5. Do you want to see EA and DICE return to Modern Warfare?
I kind of do at this point because I think, we had Battlefield 1 and then we got Battlefield 5. So I would like them to go back to something modern or semi-modern, anything past World War II, even if it was the Korean War, Vietnam, something along those lines, that's fine too. Just a little bit more modern, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I mean, obviously, okay, now let me ask you this. This is a great question. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is a reboot of the franchise. I think it's an amazing idea. I think that they need to get back to basics. Now, we've seen finally that Infinity Ward has created, at least I believe it was them that created, the new engine, which looks mouth-watering delicious, right? We've seen what it looks like when they showed the trailer of them walking in the forest, and then you see, some old school characters. He lights up his cigar, and you can see it in the dark. Everyone lost their shit, pardon my French, and I was one of them because I loved, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I loved 2. 3, they were having the problems with Infinity Ward back then, so we know why. Sledgehammer Games had to come in and help and whatever. So I'm excited for that. Do you think that DICE and EA can kind of rest on their laurels with the graphics engine that they're using for Battlefield 5? Or, as a fan of the series, would you like to see them bring it up the same way Call of Duty is going to do it this iteration that releases at the end of the year?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement because from what I've seen on the Call of Duty now, like you said, it's mouth-watering.
Yeah, it's crazy how amazing the game actually. I mean, when you say realistic graphics, like when I say realistic graphics, you think of games like Gears of War, right? You think of what they showed with the new Halo. You think of Uncharted. You think of like Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Those games have a realistic look. Now you don't get that with Nintendo because you know what you get with Nintendo, and I'm okay with that. But these graphics, my goodness, I gotta be honest with you. When I saw it, I honestly couldn't believe it. I thought it was like a CG trailer. That's how impressed I was. And we know how good DICE can be when it comes to making Battlefield. I would love for them to kind of go back to basics. Maybe reboot the franchise similar to what Call of Duty is doing. Obviously, people are all on board with a reboot. Maybe go back and reboot Bad Company, or continue it from if you don't want to call it 3, Bad Company in the Jungle. I don't know. I mean, but I would really like to see them up their ante for me personally, because obviously both of them have a place in gaming, in my opinion, and I would love to see them bring up their game. Do you agree with that, Clowns?
When you said, Bad Company in the Jungle, for some reason it makes me think of Bad Company, Bay of Pigs or something. Maybe like one of those kind of situations. It would just be kind of neat, because it just seems like there's so much fun with the franchise of Bad Company.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. One of the things I've noticed on the because there you go. So it's a delay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I saw your icon, because, like I said, this is a test stream. We have 36 people watching. I have to say, I want to thank everybody personally for being here. This isn't going to be long, unless, of course, you guys ask for it. I mean, there's really a lot to talk about in gaming. Surprisingly enough, there has not been a lot of news, but recently we've been getting some new stuff. But me personally, I don't know if anyone in the chat has been playing it. I've been playing the new Wolfenstein with the daughters, and I gotta be honest with you. Yeah, yes. It's more of what you would if you enjoy Castle Wolfenstein, you're gonna enjoy the game. First of all, it's only $30. It's half price unless you buy the deluxe edition. I bought the deluxe edition. It was $40. Do I feel it's worth $40? 100%. This is definitely not your average corridor type shooter. This they've added. Obviously, you have an AI partner, or you can play co-op, which I think is really dope. But there's a platforming aspect to this game that you did not get with all of the other Wolfenstein titles, and you have to be really like keen eye if you're like me, or someone like So Shady for that matter, who enjoys looking around the environment and looking for all the nooks and crannies. You're probably gonna enjoy this game because it's not open world. But there are branching paths that you can find. Now, a lot of the stuff you could miss. Because there's a double jump with these suits that they're wearing that you can get into second floor windows, and you have to look to see which windows are closed and open. The ones that are open you can get into, and of course there are tons of secrets in there, like what you would expect from a Wolfenstein type of game. There are hidden weapons. There's these coins that you collect. That you can buy upgrades to your weapons, all kinds of attachments. It's almost like RPG-esque, Clowns, where you have an upgrade system, and you can upgrade I believe it's your strength, your power, and I think it's your health, and it has all these different, you collect once you level up, you get like an ability point, like you would in Assassin's Creed, and you obviously collect those through the missions that you do, and you upgrade your character. So it is RPG light, I guess you can say. Are you interested in this game, Clowns?
At first I wasn't, right? Because I didn't like any of the past Wolfensteins. I know. I'm probably one out of a million who didn't like the past ones.
They're in Game Pass, folks. You can give them a try.
I heard Assassin play this, and he was complaining how it's not like the other Wolfensteins and how it feels more arcadey. and a little bit more like Dishonored in some of the senses of stealth
Yes,
and
that's a
whatnot.
great point. That's a great analogy. Tell him that was really good. Yes, that's how it's kind of like.
So I would say that I'm kind of wanting to give it a try now, just because of the fact that it's not like the previous Wolfensteins.
It is, dude. It has the shooting aspect. You're shooting Nazis, right? You're shooting Nazi dogs as robots. It's what you would expect, but it's the unexpected traversal of the characters, and the fact that you have like these shared lives. Like if you go down, you can ask your sister for help. If she goes down, you go to help her. But if you both go down, there's these shared life tokens. You can carry up to 3 of them. So you both get back up, and then you go to town. So there's a lot changed. Real quick, Wound Up Penguin asks in the chat, "Are you gonna talk about the Phil Spencer Fortune interview?" See, here's the thing. Before today's stream, I actually was putting a video together. I have it. I just have to record it and then edit it. Yes, it's probably I'm gonna be doing a video about the Phil Spencer interview, which was amazing. And it's gonna, but we're also gonna be talking about it in full with Clowns here on Wednesday on the Xbox Factor podcast, because obviously it's an Xbox show, and yeah, I have a lot to say about it. I think that. And I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil, what we're going to talk about Wednesday and what I'm going to talk about in the video that I'm going to attempt to record after today's stream. But I am going to say this. I don't go to change people's minds, okay? Everyone, I appreciate and respect everyone's opinion. Even if it's not the same as mine, I'm okay with that. What I won't stand for, what I will tune out and unsubscribe from people, which I've been on an unsubscribe a fest, if you will, is the unnecessary hate that has been going on towards the Xbox brand. I'm a fan of the Xbox brand, and I have been wanting more, and I'm going to continue to ask more. But there is a tremendous difference within social media and the content creation community, where you can do constructive criticism and break down why you want them to do better and how they can achieve that. And there's a way that other people are doing it, which I'm not going to name because I don't do that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, like I said a few seconds ago. But the way that they do it is hate mongering, if you will, and I don't like that. Obviously, my persona online is how I am in real life. This isn't a mask I wear. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Bruce Wayne here, Batman there. Boom is boom. I'm very transparent like that. What you see is what you get. This is not an act. I don't do this for subs. I do it for the love of the business, for the love of this amazing community, and the fact that I can talk about video games all freaking day long and never get bored. So that's why I do it. But the way other people do it, there's an agenda going on within the content creation community, which I'm not a fan of. And I understand that, once you get a certain level of subs and you have a certain amount of shows that you do, whether people want to admit it or not, it does become a job. It does become a business. Like I'm trying to grow the Double Barrel Gaming channel because it's important to me. It's something I created. And like I said, what you see is what you're going to get. So yeah, to answer your question, and I'm so sorry I was long-winded. My wife tells me that all the time. Yes, Wound Up Penguin, we will going to be talking about it in full detail. Clowns has agreed to co-host with me. The Welsh Gamer should be back next week to his Thursday at 12 in his chair. He has he's taken off the last 6 weeks because of some personal family things that he had to attend to, and obviously family comes first. This is just a silly podcast, so he will be back. But this week, yes, I promise you, we're going to talk about it in absolute depth, and I think you're really going to be you're going to be impressed with what I have to say in the video that I'm going to put together, as well as how I'm going to respond to what Phil Spencer said. And I'm going to say this: if you don't have the link, I'll tweet it out in a few minutes as soon as I let my poor co-host Clowns say something. Sorry about that, Clowns.
It's all good, Boom. I mean, You're making a lot of sense right now, and I agree with all the points that you hit. And that's the one thing that I am tired of too, Boom, in the community is the toxicity and the clickbaitness, and all the constant. It's the same complaints over and over, or derogatory without being positive. Like there's the difference between positive criticism and negative criticism, and if you positively criticize something, you're gonna get good results. But if you do it in a negative way, it's just gonna it's gonna push people away. And I think that's a good point to make, and I hope that in the future we can see a community that's just more positive.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Real quick, I have to shout out a few more people in the chat. Jesse Darby, Fanatical Gamer 2, Novad Seller. Thanks, guys, for popping in. Nat Hartman. Dude, I really appreciate that. He says, boom. I wanted to read his comments. He says, boom, Phil needs to get his finger out and get us some new AAA IPs. Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing, dude. I first of all, thanks for being here, and I just wanted to. I'll talk about that. We'll get back to Wolfenstein in a second. I agree with you. First of all, we haven't had a new IP in quite a bit. There's no doubt that as a gamer, right? As a gamer, and I say that because I support all three consoles, so I'm a gamer. I play more on the Xbox? Sure, but at the end of the day, I will play where the games that I enjoy are. And as a gamer, it's absolutely true and very, very prevalent that the PlayStation 4 has had better and really, really fantastic AAA titles, most of which have been original IPs. Like Spider-Man isn't an original IP, but it's still a new IP. So I understand what you're saying, and I 1000% agree. The problem is that, the turnaround from 6 studios to 15 that they currently have now, first-party studios, is something that was done, and it's unprecedented what Phil Spencer has done in that because you got to remember. Let's just talk real quick, and I know this is not an Xbox show, Clowns, and I'm going to get your opinion on this. Pre E3 2018, they had six first-party gaming studios, 6. And post E3, they doubled, right? And then XO18 comes, and they add In Exile and Obsidian, right? E3 2019 comes, and they add Double Fine Studios. And the one that wasn't announced, that no one really cares because it's more for PC, but it's still a first-party studio, the Age of Empire studio, right? That studio is going to be making Age of Empire-only games, so that's their 15. Now, in that short amount of time, which if you want to push the envelope, say 18 months, the turnaround from 6 studios to 15, like I said, it's unprecedented, Clowns. So I hate to say this, and we've been saying this for quite some time, and I'm not making excuses for Phil Spencer or any of the development houses. We just have to somewhat be patient because those AAA titles are coming. It's just that they're not here now, and I understand that is terribly disappointing, and I'm right there with you. Again, not making any excuses. I just have I'm looking at the big picture. I'm playing the long game with the Xbox. And you know what? As much as I want something new, something on the lines of a Horizon Zero Dawn, one of my favorite titles this entire generation, as much as I want to see an old IP be brought back in the lines of God of War, right? Yeah, I want to see that for the Xbox with some of their amazing franchises. I also understand that to turn a ship this big, it takes time, and even though it's frustrating as all hell, and it absolutely is an Xbox fan, I'm willing to accept the little things that I'm getting, and maybe that makes me, I don't know, I don't want to say suck ass, it just makes me more of an acceptable gamer. I still have 2 other systems I can go and play. So I'm not locked down to one console feeling inept, if you will, where all I have is Xbox. Now, if that is in fact the case is for someone, Clowns, let me ask you that. Do people have a right to be frustrated if Xbox is their only box?
Wow, this is a really tough question because we are in a generation where we all feel entitled to things, right? We feel like we spend our money, so we should get something of value for the money that we spend. And there's a flip side to this, absolutely. we should feel value in what we spend it on. At the same time, we have to realize that these are corporations and these are companies, and we are one single person, and we alone cannot dictate or force a company to change their approach into something, force them to make more games, force them to make games the way that we want them to make it. That's not how life works. Um, think in the future. I think Phil sees the future, and I think buying all these studios, he's trying to answer all those people that are upset, and he's saying, "Hey, look, we got some studios now. In the future, we're going to see some games. Question is, can you hang on long enough?"
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, it's we're coming to the end. I just don't want to bring this up for a second, okay? Because for some reason, some folks, some YouTubers, some content creators will have led the people of the gaming community to believe that has been only an Xbox problem. Phil sucks. 5 years of nothingness. This is terrible. Well, I mean, being a gamer, I've seen this same shtick before. We saw it with the PlayStation 3, right? They bombed on opening. Yes, they course corrected with first party, but they're still undersold what they were expected in for the PS3 as what they sold in the two previous generations and in the PlayStation 4. So if you go to Wiki, you can check this out. They're still under the Xbox 360. It's not by much, but it's still, they'd never caught the 360. They got close, right? And then you saw the same exact phenomenon happen with the Nintendo Wii U, right? The Nintendo Wii was a raging success. The grandmas were playing it. The nursing homes had the Wii Bowling, which, by the way, Wii Bowling, still my favorite freaking game to play. Anytime I just want to just shoot the shit, I put on Wii Bowling for the Wii U, and guess what? I have fun. I laugh. I'm active. It's just a silly game that I wish they'd bring to the Switch. But they had a terrible, horrible, genre-defining failure in the Wii U, and they turned it around with the Switch, right? The first party games came, the system came, the portability came. We have the new Switch Lite coming out, and everything is great in Nintendo world. Everything great is in the PlayStation world because they turned it. E3 2013 is always going to be remembered as how you trade games, and they got Microsoft on the ropes, and they were relentless. And I applaud them for that kind of that tactics. Yes, it's guerrilla tactics, but it's business. Business is cutthroat. So yes, depending on who you ask, I'm happy with Xbox. Now, am I satisfied? Well, no, that's a big no, because I want new first-party AAA games to say that, yeah, this is on my console that I play the most. But we also have to understand that Sony had an opportunity to fail and come back, right? And Nintendo had an opportunity to fail and come back. So why isn't it okay to accept Microsoft's failures in this generation and say, okay, they failed these 5 years. They did not do what we wanted as gamers. Why can't we turn around and say, okay, next gen is coming? Phil Spencer does this amazing interview with Fortune magazine, publicly admits the shortcomings. And again, I don't want to go too much in depth because we're going to talk about it on Wednesday's show, but he admits that there was a problem, right? Blatantly admits that that they failed. He knows it. So can we just take a step back, maybe take a breath, and understand that he understands the failures, the fans understand the failures, the industry understands the failures. Why can't we just see how it goes in the next gen? And I have a funny feeling, Clowns, it's going to be incredible. Do I make sense here, Clowns? Please, I want you to elaborate on this.
Yeah, I really think you do make sense because like the chat's relating to Fanatical Gamer 2, it takes billions to turn around a business like Xbox, not hundreds of dollars. And it's not an overnight thing either. I mean, Xbox saw that they were failing this generation. Some of it probably had to do with poor marketing, not really pushing their IPs. I
Mm-hmm.
think that the biggest failure we saw is not getting a sequel to fan favors like Rise and Sunset Overdrive.
Yes.
Microsoft just gave up on those when they could have marketed it and pushed on. I mean, Sony's pushing on with Knack and Knack 2, right? Microsoft could have done the same thing. Even if it was a loss, it would have been a fan favorite and built the franchise up for further sequels. So I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. They know where they went wrong. They know they did wrong. And just like Nintendo, they can make a huge comeback. Nintendo made a huge comeback because the Switch had Zelda Breath of the Wild on launch, and that game was fantastic. It's amazing. You know, that was actually a Wii U port.
Yes.
And they just held it off for the Switch because they wanted the Switch to do well. I can't blame them on that one.
Well, think
And
about
maybe
this for a sec. Yeah, think about this for a second, Clown. I just want to add to you what you're saying. In the same calendar year, they released a AAA Zelda, but also a AAA Mario at the end. They bookend the Switch's launch with two of the biggest IPs they have.
And Nintendo's very smart with that. They're very smart with business sense. And maybe, you know, it's something that Microsoft should look at and be like, okay, should we launch the console with a blockbuster title and then put blockbuster titles in the middle here and there and then at the end? And that would make a lot of sense for Microsoft to do that because it would push console sales. Even people, if they sold their consoles, they would come back. This is like, make Fable one of those. Keep Forza as one of those. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it would bring people back.
You know, you make a lot of sense. And, you know, the one thing I will say about Phil Spencer now, first of all, I will say this about Phil. Okay? His mantra, his aura, his being is something I personally gravitate to because, you know, I have this good guy mentality. And like I was saying earlier, what you see is what you get with Boom. This is not an act looking for clicks. I'm a good guy. I was a good cop. I went out of my way and I helped at least one. My thing when I was taught by the older veterans is help one person per day. If you help just one person a day, you're doing your job. Well, I always tried to triple that and quadruple that because I enjoyed helping people in uniform. I enjoy helping many people in this community, which I have done. I'm a pay it forward kind of a guy. You know, a lot of bigger channels don't invite smaller people onto their shows that don't have a voice because they're afraid of ratings. Well, everyone that wants to be on my show will be welcomed onto that show. I mean, I remember I consider myself still a nobody, but I didn't have a voice until Mooch gave me an opportunity, and then I took the ball and ran with it. And that's where I am today, you know, because of all the ridiculous amount of my work ethic. If you don't know, is astoundingly gross. Like, I don't sit on laurels. I'm working. I started working on this Friday show the minute I hung up with the guys from Friday morning's Breakfast at Boom. I started pulling articles. I start reading the articles. I start writing. I'm already halfway done written the Friday show because I'm fanatical like that because I respect every. First of all, we have almost 60 people watching a stream that was supposed to be a test stream. And because I'm having so much fun and because Clowns is having so much fun, we're going to continue it on for at least another 15, 20 minutes and get an hour out of this because I enjoy talking gaming. So I do see your point, but I just want to add to your Microsoft point, and I want to see if you agree with this. Now, from what we think is going to happen in 2020, Clowns, is we know for a fact that we're getting a new Halo Infinite launching with the Scarlet. Ridiculous. That's ridiculous because it's being built for the Scarlet's power. You can only imagine what the game is going to look like. The new Motorsport 8, if they keep with the numbers, that's going to be a launch title. So that's all we currently know. Now, we are hearing we could possibly get the Ninja Theory game, which is the closest as that third-person, story-driven, adult-themed content that the PlayStation has. We could get that as a launch title as well. So now you say to yourself, well, if they want to pull a Nintendo and bookend it, right? Bookend the first year to year, right? Launches November 12 months goes by, they sprinkle a few, games that we didn't expect in there, and then they bookend. What would you bookend the following November to pull a Nintendo for Microsoft, clowns?
I'm going to say this, but with a lot of pride, Fable.
Oh my God, that's so great. That's a great pick, dude. Great pick.
I think Fable would just, cause so much cheer from Xbox fans.
It really, I'd be cheering in the streets. I may even streak, folks. I'll get arrested, but I think I might streak down the streets.
And to me, it doesn't even matter if it's a reboot or a sequel to Fable 3. It doesn't matter. Just something Fable, man. And make it good. Make it great. Listen to what the fans have said about Fable over the years and go off of that input and come out with a rock solid title.
Yeah. Now that's a great pick. That's a great point. Real quick, then Duzin in the chat says, you got to admit that Microsoft's reinvestment in the Xbox is impressive. Yes, it is quite impressive. The turnaround of studios and you know what? As great as it is saying that they have 15 studios, the number itself is impressive, right? But you also have to sit back and kind of just like breathe unbelievable sigh of relief, the amount of talent that they have been attracting, clowns. Listen, I talked about on Friday's Breakfast with Boom more serious. No one has touched on this. That's why when I do these only on segments, I come out and I'll tell you, you're only going to hear this on Double Barrel Gaming Network, because it was a very serious topic regarding crunch. And Naughty Dog happened to last Thursday got into the news where apparently a dozen current and former employees had some real negative stuff to say about Naughty Dog. Now, Naughty Dog, if you don't know, they're like I guess you can, clown, you can consider them the developer darlings of the industry. Obviously, they're a Sony first party. They do make nothing but masterpieces, in my opinion, of course. And they were kind of thrown under the bus. And clowns, if you've noticed, we've had some serious rank and file move from Naughty Dog recently into the Microsoft bullpen, and the amount of talent that they are attracting, besides the monies that I'm sure Microsoft is paying, because obviously you have to pay to get quality developers. You don't hear this development crunch thing happening at Microsoft. They let the developers do what they want. Now, yes, maybe that doesn't work for some people within the content creation community that want games now. But you get happy developers, you get better games. What do you think about that, clowns?
I heard you mention that you were talking about the crunch. Sorry, my phone went off, so I had to mute some things here on my end. But you were talking about the crunch. And you mentioned about the Naughty Dog darlings in the industry.
Right.
So, and pre-show, I heard a little bit about your opinion, what you said on your past show. And, this is where we kind of differ, in a sense, on the crunch issue. Boom. I think it can be good for a game. But I think it all depends on the manner that the crunch is done. If the employees are paid, then absolutely crunch is fine. It's when you hear the stories from certain employees that crunch was unpaid or crunch was forced. Now, I worked in an industry where we had crunch, but it wasn't the game industry. It was the insurance industry. So there were times where we had to pull 24-hour shifts during disasters, 16-hour shifts and whatnot. But what my employer did was we had a sign-up board. If you were available to work the crunch or the OT, you signed up and you did it. You signed up, but you did it. If they didn't get enough people to do it, then what they would do is they would do a pool and pull people in. They would do a fair pool. And I don't know if the game industry could do something like that. Everybody gets paid, and there's an opportunity where it's not forced.
It's pretty interesting that you see, because obviously that takes it in a different direction where if you're not forcing people to be there, you know what I'm saying? Again, it's. Look, I'm not a developer, right? So what the hell do I know? I'm just a dude behind a microphone. I came from a blue-collar position. I mean, everyone knows that. Like I said, I'm very transparent about my former career. And we wouldn't call it crunch per se, but there were some days, clowns, where we did 8:35 and we went home, and it was great. You know what I'm saying? It was fine. And there were other days where at the end of the tour you got a clusterfuck, pardon my French, and it wound up being a real bad accident or a homicide or a shooting or something that required an investigation, and you're stuck. You're stuck. If you had plans, wow, that's too bad. This is the job. And there were details that I went to where I was standing 17 hours, and with only one meal, which was 60 minutes. P.S. By the way, so I mean that was our version of crunch, but it was the job. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, again, I understand it's two different industries, absolutely different. But when you talk about crunch, and how it's been made so, like, it's going on in the industry, but until Jason Schreier brought it to light back in, I think his first story went back as far as it could have been further than 2017, because I think I saw an earlier story as going back as far as like 2015, but it didn't get any traction back then. It really started to get, make media headlines back in 2017. We know what he did last year, and he continues to do. And I've said this before. I'm not a fan of Jason Schreier at all. Not at all, because he's a terrible human being. That's just my opinion. I've seen the way he talks to people, and anyone that talks down to people and puts themselves above because you wrote a book, I got no respect for you. And that's that's all I'm going to say about him. But I mean, the crunch is there. When you have deadlines, clowns, as you know, you're a professional and you've worked in the professional world. Unfortunately, when the job needs to get done, it needs to get done. Now, I mean, is that right? Well, I mean, that's really in the eye of the beholder. But getting back to the story, I mean, I don't know. I mean, crunch is I think always gonna be there. Would you agree with that?
I think crunch will always be there. I think it's how we deal with crunch in a humane way. Let me ask you something, Boom, and not to get too far off topic, but in your crunch though, in your department, were you guys unionized or non-union?
Yes, yeah, no, of course, absolutely. We have the PBA. Every just about I think every city agency, whether it's sanitation, EMS, fire department, we all have unions. So we do have someone. I mean, listen, unions are not as strong as they used to be back in the days. And I hate to say that sometimes they're there just as being there, not necessarily, being great. The PBA is pretty good. I'm going to be honest with you. But the union, and if you're going to roll this into should the game developers unionize, that's a great question. I mean, I've heard people actually say it would never work. But I think that if the developers themselves asked for it, where we're not talking about, salary people, we're talking about hourly folks, the VPs and the heads of these teams, they would be considered management, so they would be under a different umbrella as opposed to the people that are getting paid by the hour, which I think I don't know. I don't know any developers that can ask, hey, listen, do you get paid by the hour or salary? I don't know if they would disclose that.
And I think a lot of them too are contract employees.
Yes, contracted employees. That's a great point. Yeah, I believe you're right.
So I think there's a lot of pressure on them. They feel like they have to do crunch, even if they don't report that they don't get paid, because employees, I mean, any reason to let you go.
But do they work? Are they working for free though? See, I
don't know, and I think it depends on the company. I don't think so,
man. Because you know what? Even if they don't have a union, there's still something called in this country called OSHA. And that's to protect employees, regardless of whether there's a union or not. Even if you have a union, you can still make an OSHA complaint, and they would investigate it. And if there was wrongdoing against said employee, there would be hell to pay. That's a government contracted entity, from what I understand. So I don't think people working for free, clowns. That would sound ridiculous.
Oh, see, I hate to say it, Boom, but wow. So, from my personal experience, right, working in the insurance industry, there was a case where there were adjusters that were out in the field and they were forced to do overtime. And the field ones were forced to do overtime. And when they did their overtime, they didn't get paid for it, even though some of them were hourly. They did not get paid for it.
Really?
Big lawsuit. And finally, there were protections put in place in the industry for stuff like that. But I kind of have a feeling that some of the similar stuff might go on in the game industry, especially if some are contracted employees. I'm not saying all the big studios do this because I'm sure some of the bigger studios, but I think it's out there, man. I think that people shouldn't turn a blind eye to it.
No, I agree. I agree with you there. I don't think that we should just say, well, I want my game and F you, developer. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we should do that because people are people, right? You're supposed to care about your fellow man. At least I do anyway. And I know that you're a big supporter of that theory. But I am going to say this: there's something turning this back around to the talent that has been constantly shifting on almost like on a weekly basis, coming over to Microsoft. More specifically, the initiative. Like if the Welsh gamer was here, he'd be yelling out, "What the hell is going on at the initiative?" Like I said, I think that Microsoft is doing something special. It may be slower. It may not be what you want right now, but I have a funny feeling it's gonna be this story. This what can I call it? This I don't know, epilogue that people are constantly writing about how poor Microsoft is. I believe it's going to be coming to an end next generation. And again, I know everyone says, well, wait till next E3. Boom, we've been saying that for this X amount of years. And again, I would never disagree with you. I would wholeheartedly agree with you that it is an issue. But like a few people have said in the chat, this is a big ship. It takes a lot to turn around. And the way they're doing it, clowns, is impressive because people are coming in droves to want to work at Microsoft. Now, do you think there's a different mindset there that they're not finding in these other bigger companies? Because you got to remember, some of the talent that they're pulling from are from the biggest AAA developers going in the industry. The rock stars, the Naughty Dogs, the Ubisofts. We're talking big AAA monster houses that are losing talent to Microsoft. They're not going to Sony. They're going to Microsoft to work at the initiative. Do you think that they're doing their mindset, their way of game design, and the way that they treat their employees could be the cause of this?
I think that when developers look at Microsoft, they're looking at a company that has almost, in a sense, bottomless pockets for project ideas.
Right.
Is one of the things. Number two is probably a more stable type of employment opportunity if they work with one of the first party studios. The third thing, I think, Satya's direction of the company being more inclusive. I think more developers might feel more at ease to be there. Feel less pressure.
It could be,
as if there were some of the other companies. So I think those are a lot of the factors that to look forward to move over to. And then plus, I'm sure Microsoft's offering some of these bigger devs a nice penny to come work for them to get some games done, especially at the initiative. And I think booking a lot on the initiative to get something really, really fire out there next generation.
Yeah, I mean, look, all I can say is this. It's a very exciting time to be an Xbox fan because there's so much unknown. And, I have to quote there are a few people that I've seen mentioned in this particular chat. First of all, Dealer Gaming. I'm a huge fan of Dealer. I'm a friend of his. I've been on his show numerous times. He will be appearing on one of the episodes of the new night show that's launching on September 9th. Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. Clowns, you are a part of that. You are a regular panel member. I'm very excited to have you because you're gonna get your voice heard, which I think everyone should, because you're a knowledgeable dude, and I love that you're gonna have your place in this new show. So Dealer's already agreed to come on. I haven't talked to Colt Eastwood. He's another one. I'm a big fan of not only just those two, but everyone on RDX.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of those guys. Everyone on there. I think they're all amazing people. But when you talk about what we're doing as content creators, I would never tell you how to do your business. You're gonna run your channel. And if I enjoy your channel, of course, I will listen to it and I will subscribe to it and support it. And if I feel that you're just being negative, it's just not my bag. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. That's fine. But I'm going to say this. First of all, this pop out of stream, this is kind of like a flash mob kind of a thing. We have almost 70 people watching, and that's pretty damn incredible. Everyone that I didn't get a chance to say hello to, I'm gonna try and get out to you now. First of all, Wild Bates, thanks so much for being here. Shan786, Dirtyfoot77. This guy, he's my Xbox hero. Of course, I'm talking about Gotham Guy, who got me into Xbox Fan Fest. Cannot thank him enough for being here. Let's see, who else did I miss? If I missed you, Rectangle, dude, thanks so much for being here. 9 Lives, 210, appreciate you coming out for and this was just supposed to be a test stream, which it's really humbling, folks. I want you to understand the giddiness that I feel, that first of all, I'm able to continue the shows because I was very nervous about how once Google Hangouts ends on the 1st, I thought I was doomed. I'm going to be honest with you. And of course, I will thank once again J-Dubs, also known as the Graphic God, for his unbelievable tutelage yesterday and his knowledge in OBS. And of course, I want to thank everybody here. BZ McNasty, thank you so much. Everyone that's here, the 70 people that are here. Thanks so much for just coming out and help me test this, because obviously now that I know that it works, I can kind of wipe my brow. And of course, I could not have done this without Clowns, because I wouldn't have attempted it alone. Clowns, I thank you for being here, dude. This has been a pretty cool, and this is supposed to be 15 minutes, and it wound up being almost an hour. So thanks so much for being here, Clowns. I want you to do me a favor, because you're going to say it on Wednesday's show, but tell everyone where they can follow you and what you are up to with your channel, because I think your channel rocks, and I'm a big fan of Four Guys with Quarters.
Thanks, Will. I really appreciate that. Four Guys with Quarters every Monday nights at 5 p.m. Eastern. We were going to have a show tonight, but Assassin actually got his desk coming in today, so he's going to put it together and get a webcam going for the next show. So we might push back to next week. And then I do a 4GWQ variant podcast with my buddy Cody, who's another brother in blue.
Nice.
But he's been pretty busy lately, so we had to push that back a little bit. But yeah, so you can check us out, Four Guys with Quarters.
Well, appreciate that very much. And where can they follow you on Twitter? Clowns, you there, brother?
I'm here. You cut out for a second. Sorry,
so where could they follow you on Twitter?
Italian Clowns on Twitter, all one word, and Clowns with a Z.
Nice. Well, listen, again, I want to thank everybody for being here. This was, again, a test stream. I know that it works. And someone had asked what other show I think it was... Oh, yeah, it was Thanaros asked, what podcast are you doing this week besides Breakfast with Boom? Now, okay, the second show that I'm going to be doing, or should be the first, actually, of the week besides this one, is going to be on Wednesday with Clowns right here. We're going to be doing the Xbox Factor podcast now at 12 o'clock. Now, normally, it happens on Thursdays at noon, but unfortunately, Clowns was only available for Wednesday, and I didn't want to skip a show because there's a lot of Xbox stuff that I kind of want to break down. More specifically, that Fortune Magazine 41-minute interview with Phil Spencer, which I highly recommend everyone go check out. So that's the first show, and then the second show of the week is going to be obviously 10 a.m. Monday morning. I have an amazing panel of people. I'm going to be making that announcement later on. I think I'll probably do the announcement tomorrow or Wednesday of who's going to be on the show. But I want to thank everyone for being here. Again, this was a big deal for me to do this test stream. I know that it works, thanks to J-Dubs once again. And I'm definitely going to be more confident going into, continuing to do the shows that I know that I enjoy doing, and I'm hoping everyone here enjoys. But enjoy the rest of your day. If you live in New York, my God, it's 91 already. It's going to be 100 with the heat index. Drink water. Take it easy, and just stay in the shade if you can, or just stay in the house with the air conditioning game. That's what we all do. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see everybody on Wednesday. Take care.